So going third party is the strategy. This is why their console sales are 50% negative. Difference again is Microsoft is a software company, Sony is a hardware and media company, so they need the console sales unlike Microsoft. I see a lot of people continuing to blame Microsoft's console sales on the fact that they are going or they did go third party. I don't think that this is the case. Now, could this be part of it? Yes. But the original case is before they went to the full third party move, their games were, in a sense, not doing so well because their consoles were not doing so well when they were not third party. Does that make sense? 2013 is when the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 both launched. In 2014, Xbox was not going day and date on PC. In 2015, they were not going day and date on PC. They already had 2 years and change to look at the trajectory of their console sales. And their consoles were not selling as much as their own competition. If you think they needed to wait 4 years to figure it out, then you don't know how the business world actually can shift on you and throw you into the gutter where basically you've gone from top, dog to broke in an instant. So instead of Phil Spencer waiting for another 2 years to figure out to see, and then also basically getting himself in all kinds of weird issues with these so-called developers that he was hiring left and right to make games for them, Scalebound. I made that Scalebound video and you guys sat me down and said, VG, sit down. I said, what? You guys said, go look at what Platinum Games did to Xbox. I said, what? And I realized that Platinum Games was basically using Scalebound money to make Nier Automata. Those kinds of issues that did not deliver the games that Xbox would have loved to deliver to its audiences also compounded things because now they didn't even have the games that were exclusive to go ahead and even push their consoles arriving on time or even a promise of that. Right? So at the end of the day, they had to do something as a business and they adapted. So when I see the conversation goes to the place where people are saying, well, they're going third party, right? So that's why their console sales suck. I have to ask and say, guys, are we going to go ahead and now abandon reality? Are we going to abandon timelines and history? Because their consoles already sucked. Unless you can show me that in 2014 and 2015, that Xbox One consoles were tracking close to PlayStation 4 consoles, then we have a different conversations. We'll have a different set of conversations. But we know that they were not. Don't we? Or am I wrong? Am I missing something? I mean, just simply looking at both numbers and looking at 360 selling 84 million, even with the red ring of death, and looking at the Xbox One finally selling 58 million without a red ring of death or whatever, and even with a refresh with a much higher spec in terms of hardware, we can just do the math and just say, okay, how many years was this console on the market versus how many years was this console on the market in their prime, and run an average calculation of how many units would have been sold each year, you'd see that there was already a clear trajectory that one of them was going to be significantly short. I mean, when I say significantly short, we're looking at 20-something million, like 26 million short. If you go to the bank and you're $26 short of what you put there, aren't you going to raise a stink? $26. I'm not talking about $2,600. I'm not talking about $26,000. I'm not talking about $2.6 million. $26. Just go to the bank and be like, where's my $26? So why is everybody making it sound like, oh, their consoles would have continued to just push through if they had basically, not gone exclusive? Their studios would have closed and they would have fired everybody. Do you know how I know they would have fired everybody if the games didn't sell? Because Concord got closed down. Firewalk, Concord Studio, Firewalk got closed down. Neon Koi got closed down, even if they didn't even do anything. NetEase is looking at closing down more studios, even though they're making money on Marvel Rivals. They want to go for max profitability. But Phil Spencer basically took the different approach. Keep the studios open. Let them make games. Let's sell games. Let's be profitable. Let's take a different approach. Why are people attributing that approach to why their console sales are where they are? No. Look at PlayStation's business. What were they doing? money-hiding games, money-hiding third-party games. But now the developers are running away from the third-party agreement, and people are looking at PlayStation in some cases, looking at the entire console paradigm and going, what is here for me? And many of them are going to PC. PC has a bigger growth, has basically zero exclusives, by the way. I mean, when in comparison to the way consoles carried on their heads, yet is a bigger spender across the board. So a lot of you want to hang on and cling on to exclusivity. You want to make it seem like, oh, you have to have this exclusive gimmick in terms of games. But in reality, a platform is where the exclusive is. If a platform offers something that other platforms don't offer, then that platform actually has a claim to exclusive value that cannot be gotten anywhere else. Compare Steam to PlayStation and Xbox. Steam's own value is it protects its consumers. It protects its gamers. It protects its customers. Devs cannot just come out here and mess with you if you're with us. We will guard you. We will guard your money. We will basically be your advocate. That's what Steam does. That is exactly what Steam does. If that proposition was on PlayStation, Steam will find it hard and have to go find something unique. And that's why when PlayStation put the whole requirement for online whatever, people started refunding Helldivers too. And then they were like, you know what? Why don't we just say, Yabana, not really, they kind of had to, because Steam was like, yeah, you sold this to our own, players on this particular agreement. So we're going to honor that agreement. We're not going to let them just go without. This is where the difference lies. Xbox has looked at the market and said, once they saw that their console sales trajectory were basically weird, the media was on their neck, they could not gain any traction anywhere, Phil Spencer went around all of you. The media, the money hatting, he just went around everybody and made money. That's why you don't want to build anything on what people are saying, because people will just be saying stuff. But you, if you're a doer, just be doing stuff. That's what Xbox has basically been. They've just been doers, just been doing stuff. Now, PlayStation fans have to actually yell that Xbox is third party because they have so many games and they're bringing it to PlayStation. Can you imagine having to make too many games a problem and games that are coming to you a problem? Can you imagine where you've now basically found yourself? That you getting games is such a bad thing for Xbox. What? Do you not see how something has basically been warped in the whole conversation? Rather than saying PlayStation being a hardware company is also a video game company. They're a publisher. Yes, they need hardware because they want to maintain a closed ecosystem, but cannot achieve it at the levels of Nintendo because Nintendo has not had to contend with these live service games, yet PlayStation and Xbox have had to do so with majority of these games being live service. Hence, both of them have to pivot. That's why all PlayStation games, they're coming to PC. Why? There's not going to be enough sales to keep them on a PlayStation console. Even a game like Astrobot right now, they're just selling and selling and selling, but they know that they're going to come and print money on PC. So even though they leave the game so-called timed exclusive and all that, it's just to make people just believe that, until their game starts selling way worse, then you're going to see more and more of them as day one on PC. And then if it gets worse, then they'll go to Xbox. This is the trajectory of the market. Why? If the game doesn't sell and the game doesn't bring a return on investment, how are they going to go ahead and make another game? How do they go ahead and make payroll for that studio? Pay benefits, insurance, dental, children on insurance of their staff and, managers and hire more developers. These things are not cheap. 2 million sales on a video game ain't gonna cut it for their expenses that they put out there in PlayStation. Unless they go the Nintendo route in terms of making games and develop their games in an economy that is not like, heavily on expense like the West is for employers. Now, granted, Astrobot is almost exactly that because they've developed that studio exactly in that kind of environment. Right? But again, their competitor in that kind of a niche, especially with games like that, Nintendo, will drop 5 million copies on a game like that. Easy, 10 million, depending on what it is, 15, 20 million, and 70 million for a game like Mario Kart Deluxe 8. So going multiplat with your game when the market forces you to is a sound strategy. That's why Phil Spencer is still there. You noticed that, right? That's why he's still there. Aha. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.